Don't ignore these 5 vibration signs. Only Rare's dark chosen ones get them. There are moments in your life when something inside you whispers, but not in words. It's a current, a shift in the atmosphere of your being. They label it anxiety, coincidence, or even madness. But what if I told you these are not delusions? What if I told you they are signals, vibration signs only the rarest, darkest chosen ones are attuned to? Not dark in evil, but dark in the way the night sky holds the stars, the way the void holds the infinite. You see, we aren't all built the same. Some of us were born to walk paths that no light dares enter. And if you're hearing this, maybe you're one of them. Maybe you're already feeling these signs and you just haven't realized what they are trying to tell you. Let me ask you something that will haunt you until you answer it. When was the last time you felt something so unexplainable, so deep, that you couldn't even share it with the person closest to you? Not because you didn't want to, but because you knew they wouldn't understand. That's the first vibration sign. Isolation by vibration, not loneliness. Loneliness is temporary. This is sacred solitude. It means your soul is tuning into a frequency that others can't hear. And when you start to vibrate differently, the universe begins to separate you, not to punish you, to prepare you. Because the sacred cannot grow in chaos, and those who are chosen are always removed before they are revealed. You may have felt friends fade, relationships crumble, and opportunities vanish seemingly without reason. But the reason is this: you are being emptied of everything false so that the truth can take form inside you.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
I've been there. I remember sitting in my room, staring at the ceiling, feeling like the world was moving forward and I was frozen in place. But that stillness was not stagnation. It was incubation. The caterpillar does not move when it's becoming the butterfly. It dissolves. It becomes unrecognizable. That's what's happening to you. Your soul is dissolving the old codes, the patterns, the attachments. And it's terrifying, isn't it? Because when the old you dies, there's a moment where the new you hasn't fully arrived. That in-between is sacred, but it feels like hell. Only those who are chosen survive that space. Most people run back to comfort. They numb themselves with distractions. But you're still listening. That alone makes you rare. The second vibration sign is this: you begin to see patterns in everything. Not just numbers like 111 or 333. Those are just the surface. I'm talking about a deeper pattern, like noticing the same type of energy in different people, like realizing every job you've taken has taught you the same lesson in different clothes. You start to feel that life isn't random. It's a mirror. That recognition is a powerful shift in vibration. It means you're no longer a passive participant. You've stepped into the role of co-creator. But be warned, this awareness is not comfortable. It means you can no longer blame, you can no longer pretend, you can no longer live asleep. You're awake now, and there's no going back. And when you awaken, the third sign emerges. You begin to feel time differently. Hours feel like minutes. Minutes feel like eternities. You might wake up at 3:33 a.m. night after night. You might feel like you're out of sync with the world's rhythm. That's because you are. Linear time is a construct for those still playing the game. But you're beginning to move in divine time. Synchronicities begin to appear. You think of someone, they call. You speak something, it happens. You write down a dream, and a week later you live it. This is not coincidence. This is calibration. Your vibration is becoming magnetic. You are attracting and repelling with precision now. And the more aware you become of this, the more powerful it grows. But here's the catch, and this is where most people fail. The more your vibration rises, the more shadow you must face. That's the fourth sign. Your deepest fears will visit you, not to destroy you, but to be integrated. The chosen ones are not those who avoid darkness. They are the ones who walk into it willingly. They face the parts of themselves that others bury, and they don't flinch. They feel the fear and keep moving. They cry, they scream, they shake, but they don't stop. That's what makes them chosen. So if you've been facing old traumas, sudden anxiety, strange dreams, or even feeling like you're losing your mind, breathe. You're not breaking. You're breaking through. The darkness is not your enemy. It's your initiation. And finally, the fifth vibration sign, the most mysterious of all, is the voice. Not a literal voice, but a knowing, a download, a sudden clarity that strikes like lightning. You'll be doing something mundane, washing dishes, walking alone, staring out a window, and suddenly truth drops into you. You just know, and you can't explain how. You'll know when someone's lying, when something's wrong, when you're meant to go left instead of right. The voice doesn't argue. It doesn't explain. It just is. And the more you trust it, the louder it becomes. But again, most people ignore it. They think it's just their mind playing tricks. But you're listening, aren't you? So I ask you now, in the depths of your being, what if everything that has ever broken you was actually building you into the one person who could carry the truth? What if the pain, the confusion, the isolation, what if it was all a sacred design? Are you willing to consider that you are not cursed but called? These 5 vibration signs, solitude, pattern recognition, time distortion, shadow confrontation, and intuitive downloads, are not random. They are divine fingerprints. They are the universe tapping on your soul, asking if you're ready to remember who you really are. And if you felt even one of them, you're already deep in the process. You're not crazy. You're not lost. You're awakening. And awakenings are messy, aren't they? They don't come with instructions. They come with fire. They burn away who you thought you were so you can uncover who you've always been. And right now, in this very moment, you're standing at the edge of something vast and sacred. The question is, will you step into it? Why the universe is testing you through pain, and what it's preparing you for. Pain is the most misunderstood language of the divine. We curse it. We run from it. We numb it with distractions, pills, people, and addictions. But what if I told you that pain is not punishment, it's preparation? What if the moments that shattered you were actually sacred blueprints, coded with the exact frequency needed to awaken your true self? You see, the universe doesn't test the weak. It doesn't waste energy sculpting those who aren't meant to carry something extraordinary. It only breaks those it intends to build into something eternal. And if you've been broken, if you've questioned your sanity, your worth, or your path, then take this in with your whole being. You are being forged, not forsaken. I remember a time when I felt like everything I loved was being stripped away. Friends disappeared. My body ached with anxiety. I couldn't sleep. I cried at random. It felt like the world was conspiring against me. But in retrospect, it was conspiring for me. Because when the false self dies, it screams, and that scream sounds like suffering. But underneath it, something else is happening. The soul is cracking open. It's being rewired to hold more light, more truth, more power. But first, it must be emptied. And the emptying hurts. It's not poetic, it's brutal. And yet, it's sacred. Why do you think the chosen ones always have the hardest lives? Why do the most spiritually gifted people often carry the heaviest traumas? It's because the deeper the pain, the more profound the purpose. The universe is not random. It is precise. It chooses its vessels based on capacity. And pain is the measure of that capacity. The universe asks, can you still love after betrayal? Can you still trust after abandonment? Can you still rise after being buried? If the answer is yes, even if it's whispered through tears, then you are chosen. Not because you're better, but because you're ready. And here's the truth most people aren't willing to face. Real spiritual growth doesn't come from meditation apps and vision boards. It comes from heartbreak, from failure, from humiliation, from loss so deep it strips you to your bones, because only in that nakedness can you meet your real self. The masks fall, the ego dies, and what's left is raw and real and holy. You can't fake that kind of awakening. You have to bleed for it. But the bleeding doesn't last forever. And this is what the pain is preparing you for: vision, not sight vision. The ability to see beyond the illusion, to look at the chaos of the world and still feel peace, to walk through darkness and still carry light, to be surrounded by noise and still hear your soul. That kind of vision doesn't come cheap. It costs everything. But once you have it, you can never be controlled again, because you see through the game, you see the system, you see who you really are. So if you're in pain right now, emotional, spiritual, existential, don't rush to fix it. Don't rush to escape it. Sit with it. Ask it what it's teaching you, because pain is a portal. And if you avoid it, you miss the initiation. You miss the message. You miss the transformation. But if you face it, truly face it, it becomes a key. And that key unlocks a version of you that you haven't even imagined yet. Let me ask you something that may change how you see everything. What if the very thing you're trying to escape is the thing that will set you free? The spiritual code hidden in your suffering and why you were chosen to remember it. There's a code buried beneath the pain, a language not written in words, but in moments. Moments of despair, moments of silence, moments when the world seems to stop and the only thing you can hear is the echo of your own breath. This is where the sacred code is buried, not in the noise of success, not in the applause of others, but in the quiet agony of your aloneness. And here's where it becomes mystical. Only the rarest souls, those dark chosen ones, are born with the spiritual DNA to decode it. You are not just suffering for no reason. You are remembering. You are unlocking a forgotten truth embedded in your very being. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how your suffering feels different than others? Not necessarily worse, but deeper. You don't just feel pain, you absorb it. You don't just cry, you drown in oceans where others only shed tears. You don't just question life, you dissect it, deconstruct it, and demand truth from it. That's not weakness. That's sacred intelligence. That's a soul refusing to be lied to. You were never meant to live on the surface. You are coded for the depths. And the depths are where the ancient codes lie. These codes are not taught, they are remembered. And suffering is the trigger. It's the alarm clock of the soul. Every time you've been betrayed, abandoned, misunderstood, or rejected, it wasn't just a random event. It was a spiritual algorithm unfolding. It was the universe pulling you away from false alignments and pushing you toward truth. But here's the part people miss. The code only activates when you choose to see it. If you stay in victimhood, if you drown in blame, if you curse the pain, it remains locked. But the moment you ask, why did I need this? Or what am I being shown through this? You crack the door. And that's when the download begins. Images, feelings, synchronicities. A shift in energy. A knowing that cannot be explained, only felt. You start to remember who you were before the world told you who you should be. This remembering is not always pretty. It often brings up rage, grief, shame. Because to truly remember who you are, you must also remember what was done to make you forget. The lies you were fed, the masks you wore to survive, the roles you played to feel loved. But as these layers fall away, something incredible happens. You begin to reclaim your power. Not the egoic, loud kind of power, but the quiet, unwavering kind. The kind that doesn't need validation. The kind that doesn't beg for belonging. The kind that knows, I am here for something more. This is the moment when the dark chosen ones begin to rise. When they stop asking for the world's permission and start listening to their soul's instruction. When they stop chasing light and start weaving it from their own darkness. And the world doesn't always understand them. In fact, it often fears them. Because when you carry the code, you become a mirror. People see themselves in you, and not everyone is ready to see. But that's not your burden. Your only task is to continue remembering, to keep listening, to keep decoding. Because the more you remember, the more others will too without you even trying. Your energy becomes the message. Your presence becomes the transmission, and that's how the code spreads. So I ask you now, not from the surface of your mind, but from the truth of your soul. What if your suffering has always been sacred? What if it's not something to escape, but something to embrace as the very thing that will awaken the world? The final transformation becoming the light hidden in darkness. There comes a moment in every chosen soul's journey when the suffering no longer defines them, it refines them. You've walked through fire, not once, not twice, but again and again, until your very bones learned the rhythm of the flames. You've questioned your sanity, doubted your worth, even begged the universe to make it stop. But still, you're here, still standing, still breathing, and that alone is proof. Proof that the darkness did not destroy you. It initiated you. It shaped you into the exact vessel needed to carry the light that no one else could hold. You see, the final transformation doesn't look like victory on the outside. It's not a grand moment of applause or a perfect life wrapped in gold. No, it's a quiet shift. A peace that settles into your chest like it's always belonged there. It's the moment you look at your scars and realize they're not wounds, they're symbols. Sacred symbols of everything you endured and everything you've become. You stop running from the dark. You stop chasing the light. Because you finally understand you are both. You are the storm and the calm. The question and the answer. The pain and the healing. And when you embrace that paradox, you become untouchable. Not because life stops hurting, but because nothing can steal your center anymore. You've met yourself in the abyss. And now, there's nothing left to fear. This is what it means to become the light hidden in darkness. It doesn't mean pretending to be perfect. It means embodying truth so purely that your very presence disrupts illusion. It means walking into a room and shifting the energy without saying a word. It means no longer needing to prove your worth, because your entire vibration speaks for you. And here's the wildest part: once you reach this state, people will feel it. Some will be drawn to you like a magnet. Others will be repelled, even offended by your existence. That's the cost of authenticity. But remember, you weren't chosen to be light. You were chosen to be light. And light doesn't ask permission to shine. Now, the question becomes, what will you do with this power? Because make no mistake, it is power. Real power. The power to heal, to awaken, to guide. And not through preaching, but through being. Through living your truth so loudly that others begin to hear their own. But this path isn't about ego. It's about responsibility. The more awakened you become, the more gentle you must be. With yourself, with others. Because you'll start to see clearly how wounded most people truly are. How asleep they are. And instead of judging, you'll feel compassion, not pity, not superiority, but deep empathy. Because you've been there. And you remember what it feels like to be lost. So, you'll walk with grace, quietly but powerfully. You'll speak when needed. You'll listen more than ever. You'll move through life like a living prayer, not because you're holy, but because you're whole. And in doing so, you fulfill the destiny of the dark chosen ones to transmute suffering into wisdom, fear into truth, and shadow into light. Not just for yourself, but for the world. So let me leave you with this final question, one that only you can answer in the silence of your own soul. Now that you know you were never broken, only becoming, what will you do with the power you've remembered? The world is waiting, and you are ready.